Hello YouTubers and welcome to another episode of the vlogs. Today, as you can tell from the title, we're talking about sleep and the importance of it, just because at the moment I'm trying to figure out what is best for me. So hopefully by sort of looking through my sleep, maybe there's a little bit of tips here and there that you can take and help your sleep. But we'll see if it does. First things first, we have to get to Dorney Lake to go rowing. Oh yeah! And we've made it to Dorney Lake. Let's get on the water. And we've made it back to the club after a lovely rowing session to fuel up, because remember, food is fuel. Lovely bit of prep for Henley Royal Regatta there, and lovely bit of wind going on, as the last couple of days has been pretty flat, awesome conditions, and then of course that can't last, and we need to be prepared for all conditions that we might race in, whether it's rain, snow, hail, lovely sunny skies, big winds, small winds, but we have to be prepared. But now it's time to go fuel up, so let's get to it. And we've made it into the crew room to fuel up with the breaded egg toast here at the club. The boats are coming back from Dorney, so we can then re-rig and then go onto the water tomorrow here in Henley to prep some more for Henley Royal Regatta and get used to the river after being at the lake. Hopefully all the boats aren't out too much, but obviously it isn't the tideway, so it's not too bad, as someone was saying yesterday. But we're going to continue to fuel up, then to chat a little bit about that sleep and a little bit about prep for Henley. And we've made it onto the balcony here for Leander Club for the afternoon. Just a little bit of relaxing, a little bit of chilling out, and I'll just adjust the camera here. And as you can tell, everything's all in prep for Henley Royal Regatta here at the club, as well as on the water as well. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get a tour of the club as well. Just kind of waiting for everything to be prepped and ready to go, so we can go around and not have any issues with safety, etc. But here on the balcony, we're going to talk a little bit about sleep, like we said earlier, and how important that can be, and any tips and things that I use that could help you, and also just prep in general for coming up to a big race and what we're doing coming up to Henley Royal Regatta. So I'll be chatting a little bit here, so if you want to minimize the screen if you want, just listen to me talk, that's up to you, or you can watch me talk as the clouds float over me here in the background. So first things first, we'll talk a little bit about sleep. So I think sleep is really underrated as a recovery tool. We talk about fueling, because remember, food is fuel, obviously very important. We talk about some people wear compression leggings, compression socks, compression tops, compression wear to help recovery. We talk about resting just in general, just making sure you're not overdoing your training, making sure that you're in the right training bands, but sometimes people just neglect this sleep aspect. You can be doing everything possible that to improve your fitness, to improve your technique, to improve any sort of part of your sporting prowess. But if you're not getting enough sleep, then all of that could take either a big hit and make it just actually a negative impact, or it could even just be you could be gaining 10%, but you're not sleeping well enough, and you could only gain 5 or 2 or 1%. So I'm a big proponent of sleep, and I can feel when I have a bad night's sleep, not only is it the day after the bad night's sleep, but it affects you for the next day and the next day. And I've been doing a lot of research into sleep and how the amount of sleep that I need, especially with the activity that I do, and the amount of sleep that I need to improve and recover properly. But obviously that varies with everybody, and obviously I'm not a doctor. So make sure, whatever I say here, talk to your coach, talk to a professional if you're interested, and do your own research and see what works best for you. So for me, I feel like I really need over 8 hours of sleep. And that isn't just, when I say 8 hours of sleep, I don't mean 8 hours in bed, I mean 8 hours where I am physically asleep. So that's maybe 8.5 plus hours in bed actually, especially maybe if I get up during the night to go to the bathroom, then that's taking out 15 minutes of that sleep, and then maybe I take a little bit of time to go to sleep, and maybe that takes 10 minutes. And so really, to get that 8 hours, for me, 8.5 hours in bed is ideal. And then depending on the activity during the day, if I've got 3 sessions in a day, then that number might have to increase. And if I'm feeling really tired, I can increase that. And I've looked at a lot of things about napping as well during the day. Obviously I'm in a privileged position where I can do a session, have a nap, do a session, have a nap, or something like that. And I know that people can't just take a nap during the day, but naps to top up on that sleep supposedly can help. But I prefer to get all of the sleep done during the evening when I have the biggest sleep that I can, and then throughout the whole day I'm alert and I'm not waiting to have that nap. Getting to sleep for me, and I know a lot of people can sort of find it difficult to just get to sleep. So if I'm saying 8.5 hours in bed, then you might get in bed and then think, oh, I'll go on my phone, or okay, I'll go ahead and just wait a little bit of time, and you struggle to actually get to sleep. So a couple of tips for me is visualizing something relaxing, and that can be anything. So I've heard a lot of people tips about, so imagining you're in a very secluded place, and that can be different for everybody, and you're very relaxed, very alone, nothing sort of coming in to distract you, and you're just trying to relax. Another thing I like to do is focus on my breathing. So I know when I can feel my heart rate and breathe well, that I'm getting relaxed, and I'll go to sleep. And depending on how stressed I am, I can count the breaths, and I can count sort of if I'm in that image of being alone. Sometimes I think about being on a boat, and I've just taken a little bit of time, sun's shining, I'm in the boat alone on a quiet, peaceful lake, lying back, just relaxing, looking up with my eyes closed and relaxing. And I think that's a big thing, is being relaxed when you're going to sleep. And that can, in today's age of technology, I'm really guilty of picking up my phone and swiping through Instagram, going through YouTube, whatever it is. I say, 10 more minutes and I can watch this video, or 20 more minutes and I can reply to a couple of people on Instagram. Really, the best thing you can do is put your phone outside of the room. And obviously that can be a big ask, but at the very least, trying to say to yourself, okay, at whatever time it is, 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11, 12, whatever time you go to sleep or want to go to sleep, putting your phone down before that time. So you say, okay, my phone is down, preferably away from the bed, so you're not tempted to pick it up. And then, okay, it's away half an hour before, I'm getting relaxed, I'm imagining being on that boat. For me, sleep, very peaceful water, quiet, maybe a little birds chirping in my mind, and I'm fading off to sleep. So that helps me being really relaxed, especially when I put my phone away. It's like, okay, no more distractions, it's sleep time. But maybe any of that could help you with sleep. And sleep is such a big thing, whether it's to not just recovery and physical sort of progression, but also mentally. It just mentally resets you for the next day coming up. You don't go through the day sort of flagging. If you have the proper amount of sleep, you can really sort of attack the day. But let me know in the comments below what you think of that. I might talk a little bit more about different things like that affect that personally that I sort of looked into and try and like the tips that I use. And like I said, obviously I'm not a professional in this field, so if you want to use the tips, make sure that you look into what you should do, speak to a professional, speak to, if it is to do with rowing, your coach, etc., someone experienced in the field, and do your own research to know what is good for you. But now we'll talk a little bit less, but we'll talk about prepping for a big race, prepping for Henley Royal Regatta. So you've followed me through all this year prepping up to Henley Royal Regatta, and coming into a race you start to sort of figure out what works for your crew, and that just comes with time. And then you start, so obviously through the winter you do a lot of training of low intensity, low rate, long distance, and then obviously the race itself for Henley Royal Regatta is 2,112 metres, so a bit, just a smidge longer than 2k, so we have to get used to doing those shorter distances and at those higher intensities. So the training sort of changes to push onto that, so using the base you generate in winter, and then moving over to the preparation phase for races. So depending on your training in the winter, that can be more high rate work, that can be less volume, higher intensity, and it's a lot of it is just getting, especially in a bigger boat like an 8, it's a lot of getting the people in the boat used to doing the same thing together. You can see this in different boats throughout the year. Sometimes I've seen it when they make the Great 8s that compete ahead of the Charles. They've got some absolutely enormous names, super strong guys in those boats at the head of the Charles, but you get beat by sort of student crews or university crews who have been together for months at a time, and the guys in the Great 8s have been, obviously they perform usually really well, but you can sometimes get beaten just by crews that have been together for months at a time, rather than just being together for a week. So a big thing about 8s in general, about making fast 8s, is about that togetherness, and that can also obviously affect all boats, maybe apart from the single. But not only is it being together, but it's also knowing what you as an individual need to do in the boat to make it go fast. So whether that's a big gust of wind comes, how do you adjust personally, and how does the boat adjust? Or maybe someone catches a crab and it's like, okay, don't panic, keep relaxed, and how does the boat react for that? So that's kind of what we've been working on, just prep for Henley Royal Regatta, as this will be the last few races. There's 10 entries in the ladies plate itself, and out of the 12 maximum, so that means there's going to be races on Thursday and Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we'll see how the draw works. That is on Saturday coming, so today is Wednesday. If the draw is on Saturday, we'll see where we have to race, what days, what not, and who's seeded, who's not seeded, and then how the progression might look. But that's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of a chat about the sleep and the Henley Royal Regatta prep. Hopefully it helps a little bit in just remembering to take a focus on you as an individual and what you can do to improve yourself, as well as how, say, your crew can improve, or whoever it is, the group that you're in, can improve as a unit. So what may improve you may not improve someone else, and what may improve someone else may not improve you, but it's bringing those individual identities together to make an overall sort of overarching identity that works in synergy, if you will. But that will be it for today's video, as more and more boats get boating now here behind me. And that will be it for the video, Yam Squad. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and as always, remember to subscribe if you haven't already, hit that like button, and have a good one.